purpose of this documentary is to hopefully share and inform our viewers about one of our society's oldest professions, street vendors, peddlers. Who are street vendors? A street vendor is broadly defined as a person who offers goods for sale to the public at large without having a permanent building or structure from which to sell. Street vendors may be stationary or they may be mobile in the sense that they move from place to place by carrying their wares on push carts or baskets on their heads. There is a substantial increase in the number of street vendors in the major cities around the world, especially in the developing countries of Asia, Latin America, and Africa. We have identified two main causes for the growth of street vendors in these countries. Firstly, a lack of gainful employment, coupled with poverty in rural areas, have pushed people out of their villages in search of a better existence in the city. These migrants do not possess the skills or the education to enable them to find better paid, secure employment in the formal sector, and they have settled for work in the informal sector. Secondly, there's another section of the population in these countries who are forced to join the informal sector. These are workers who were employed in the formal sector. They lost their jobs because of closures, downsizing, or mergers in the industry they worked in. And they or their family members had to seek low-paid work in the informal sector in order to survive. Both causes are directly related to globalization. While in this country, there's a third variable. There are those workers who have become discouraged, frustrated working for others, who have decided to work for themselves, that they can have a better life by developing their own wares and selling these wares. You often find people selling inexpensive jewelry in this sector. Next, let's take a look at the history of street vending. The history of concessions may seem to be short, but if you look at street vending through the ages, you will find that it can be traced back 5,000 years. Early street vendors profited from those milling around in the public markets, purchasing other things. It was very popular and began to become quite common. Vendors in current times have much the same philosophy as those from ancient times. Take advantage of large gatherings of people. One of the most influential times of history on the street vending business is that of ancient Rome. During those times, there were many ways people had become aware of public entertainment. One of the ways that people entertained each other and themselves was during popular gatherings at the Roman Colosseum. Spectators would come to see different contests and competitions, such as chariot races and circuses. While some visitors managed to bring their own goodies, others didn't. This was noticed, and before long, tables were set up during competitions to feed and refresh those who were willing to pay. Bread and wine were often offered to those with an empty belly with plenty of money in their pockets. This became quite popular, and many were becoming quite wealthy off of these spectators. Another really popular segment of the past concession trailers is medieval fairs. During medieval times, very much like Roman times, people often gathered in flocks in search of entertainment. The medieval society often put together fairs that brought people from miles around to see contests and other spectacles. When these fairs would gather, part of the entertainment was the food that was offered. And it's similar with modern fairs. Different types of food were available that weren't necessarily available when fairs weren't in town. Looking at modern fairs today, you can see the influences of early fairs. One final thing that affected the way we view street vending today is the sportsy renter. For years and years, baseball, football, and other sport complexes have offered goodies such as hot dogs and cold beer. These sporting events are well known for their great classic American foods and other offerings they have. No matter how you look at it, or where or when the first street vendors, the past has affected the way current vendors do business.